The truth about aging. Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt a flicker of resistance? Like your reflection no longer matches the version of you your heart still carries. Maybe your hair is grayer, your skin softer, your energy a bit slower than it used to be. And in that quiet moment, a thought arises. Is this what getting old feels like? In our culture, aging is often framed as something to fear, something to battle, delay, or even deny. Every wrinkle becomes a problem to fix. Every birthday, a reminder that time is slipping away. But what if I told you aging is not the enemy? It's not a punishment. It's not a flaw in the system. It's the most natural thing in the world. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a word that echoes through every teaching: anicca, impermanence. The truth that everything changes. The seasons, our bodies, our relationships, our minds. Nothing stays the same. And that's not a reason for despair. It's a reason to breathe more deeply. Because the pain we feel around aging doesn't come from aging itself. It comes from resisting it. We suffer not because time passes, but because we try to grip what must inevitably flow. We want to keep youth in a jar, freeze moments in place, control the uncontrollable. But life doesn't work that way. Like the tide, it comes and goes. And just like the ocean, its beauty lies in movement. The Buddha didn't say, avoid aging. He said, understand it. He taught that the root of suffering is attachment, especially the attachment to permanence. We believe things should stay the same. We want our bodies to obey us forever, our loved ones to stay beside us, our strength, our looks, our identities untouched by time. But the moment we let go of that illusion, we find freedom. Think of a leaf floating down a stream. It doesn't panic when it can't go upstream. It doesn't cling to branches or rocks. It surrenders to the flow, and in doing so, it moves with grace. What if you could do the same with your life? What if you could meet each change not with fear, but with curiosity? What if every gray hair was seen not as something lost, but something earned? What if getting older wasn't about decline, but deepening? Aging brings things that youth cannot: perspective, patience, a quieter kind of strength, the kind that comes from knowing who you are without needing to prove it anymore. And yes, aging brings its challenges. The body slows down, people drift away, grief visits more often. But it also brings clarity. You begin to see what really matters and what never did. You begin to live not to impress others, but to honor your truth. You begin to realize that every day is a gift you never needed to earn. So, if you're feeling the weight of change, I invite you to pause, not to resist it, but to sit with it. Feel it, let it move through you like wind through trees. And remember this: you were never meant to stay the same. Trees grow, rivers shift, stars burn and fade. You, too, are part of that great dance of impermanence. So let go of the fight. Stop chasing youth and start embracing the sacred wisdom that only time can bring. Because the moment you stop resisting change is the moment you start living fully. Welcome to this journey. This is not the beginning of the end. It is the beginning of something deeper, and you're exactly where you're meant to be. Lesson 1. You'll be forgotten faster than you think, and that's okay. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered, will people remember me when I'm gone? Will the things I built, the love I gave, the stories I shared really last? We spend our lives trying to leave a mark. We raise families, build careers, chase dreams. We hope, maybe even believe, that our name will echo through time, that somehow the world will remember. But here's the quiet truth. You'll be forgotten faster than you think. And that's not a tragedy, that's freedom. You see, the Buddha spoke often of anatta, the teaching of no self. This isn't to say you don't exist, but that the version of you you're clinging to, it's not fixed, it's not permanent. It's like a wave in the ocean, beautiful, powerful, but always changing. Think about it. Do you remember the names of every teacher who once inspired you? Probably not. But their impact lives on in the way you think, the way you see the world. They're gone, but they're not absent. Their essence flows through you. And one day, you will do the same for someone else. There's an old Zen story I love. A young monk asked his teacher, "Does it not sadden you that when you die, people may forget your name?" The teacher smiled, pointed to the river beside them, and said, "Tell me, where is the water that flowed here yesterday?" The monk hesitated. "It has moved on," he finally said. "Exactly," the teacher replied. "Yet the river remains." That's the wisdom. It's not your name that matters, it's the current of your actions, the kindness you give, the love you share, the peace you carry. That's what stays. A single candle can light 1,000 others without ever losing its own flame. Your light doesn't need to be remembered to have meaning. We live in a world obsessed with legacy. Build your brand, leave your mark, make history. But the truth is, the deepest legacies aren't written in books. They're written in hearts. In a smile you gave a stranger on a hard day. In the patience you showed your child when you could have lost your temper. In the quiet love you poured into people long after they stopped noticing. So, what if we stopped chasing immortality? What if we stopped needing to be remembered and started choosing to be present? Because being fully here, right now, is more powerful than being etched into stone. Let me say that again. You don't need to be remembered forever to make this moment matter. You just need to be real in it. When you realize this, aging stops feeling like erasure. It starts feeling like liberation. You're not here to become a statue in someone's memory. You're here to live, to give, to pass the flame and then let it go. So let go of the pressure to prove something. Let go of the need to be permanent. And instead, be kind, wise, be light. Because that is how you live forever, not in name, but in the quiet ripple you leave behind. That ripple flows on long after your story ends, and that is more than enough. Lesson 2. Your body will change, so love it like an old friend. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly thanked your body? Not judged it, not criticized it in the mirror, but genuinely thanked it. You see, as we age, something inevitable happens. The body we once trusted to move swiftly starts to slow. The knees creak, the back stiffens. Stairs that used to be effortless now demand a pause. And for many of us, that change feels like betrayal. But the Buddha would remind us, it's not betrayal, it's nature, it's impermanence. And when we resist that truth, we suffer. Think of your body not as a machine that's failing, but as a loyal companion that has walked with you every step of your journey. It's carried you through childhood laughter and heartbreak. It's weathered late nights, illnesses, stress, joy, grief, and everything in between. It has healed you more times than you even remember. So instead of resenting it for changing, what if you chose to honor it? There's a Buddhist parable that speaks to this beautifully. An elderly monk, once strong and capable, found himself struggling to complete his daily tasks. One day, he turned to his teacher, frustrated. "Master," he said, "my body no longer obeys me. It fails me every day. What use am I now?" The master said nothing. He simply handed the monk a cracked clay pot. "This pot," he said, "once held water perfectly. Now it leaks." The monk looked confused. "Does that make it useless?" the teacher asked. "No," the monk replied. "It still holds some water, and the rest nourishes the ground. The master smiled. Exactly. The lesson was clear. Your body may not be what it once was, but it still serves a purpose. It still carries love, still offers kindness, still radiates presence. You are not a machine to be optimized. You are a living being, evolving with each passing season. And just like autumn trees don't cling to their leaves, your spirit doesn't need to cling to youth. You don't have to fight to be who you were. You just have to care for who you are now. So what would it look like to treat your body like a wise, beloved friend? Maybe you'd move it gently, not forcefully. You'd feed it nourishing food, not punishment diets. You'd listen when it asks for rest, instead of pushing it past its limits. You'd forgive it for the lines and aches, because you know every wrinkle is a memory, every scar a story. There's something deeply sacred about this shift, from criticism to compassion, from performance to presence. Because in the end, your body isn't the enemy. It's been your home, your protector, your guide. And yes, it will age. But aging doesn't mean failing. It means transitioning. You might not run anymore, but you can walk with grace. You might not lift heavy weights, but you can still lift someone's spirit. Your hands may shake, but they can still hold, comfort, and create. And here's something profound. Some of the most radiant people you'll ever meet aren't radiant because they look young. They're radiant because they've accepted their age, because they've stopped fighting their reflection and started honoring their experience. So today, I invite you to shift your gaze. Look at yourself not through the lens of comparison, but through the lens of compassion. See not what's gone, but what remains and what has deepened. Because your body is not a problem to fix. It's a sacred companion to cherish. And when you walk with it, gently, lovingly, you walk with peace. That, my friend, is the true beauty of aging.
Lesson 3. You can't keep everyone forever, and that's okay. Have you ever looked back on your life and wondered why some people, once so close, are no longer there? Maybe it was a best friend who slowly stopped calling, a sibling you once talked to every day, now distant, or a partner whose path no longer aligned with yours. It's a quiet ache, isn't it? The kind of grief that doesn't shout, but lingers. And sometimes we take it personally. Did I do something wrong? Was I not enough? Why didn't they stay? But here's a gentle truth. Not everyone is meant to walk the whole journey with you. In Buddhist philosophy, impermanence, or anicca, is not just about things, it's about people too. Relationships, like everything else, are fluid. They form, they blossom, they shift, and sometimes they dissolve. There's a Zen story about a young monk who asked his master, "Why do people leave us, even when we love them?" The master took him to a riverbank and pointed to the water. "See how it flows," he said. "Each drop travels its own path. Some flow together for a while, dancing, merging, moving in harmony. Then the current carries them apart. That's how it is with people. Some walk beside us for a moment. Some stay for years. But all of them, every single one, must keep flowing. And the sorrow doesn't come from their departure. It comes from our refusal to let go. You see, love doesn't mean possession. Closeness doesn't mean permanence. And just because someone isn't in your life now doesn't mean their presence didn't matter. Think about someone who's no longer around, but deeply shaped who you are. A mentor, a friend, a grandparent. You may not talk to them anymore. Maybe life took you in different directions. Maybe they've passed on. But does that mean the love is gone? No. Their words still echo in your heart. Their laughter still brings a smile. Their lessons still guide your choices. That's the beauty of connection. It lingers, even when people don't. So instead of closing your heart out of fear, let it stay open. Yes, it may get hurt again, but it will also be touched again. By a neighbor who smiles when you walk past. By a stranger who offers unexpected kindness. by a new friend who enters your life when you least expect it. No matter your age, life is still offering you moments of connection. The question is, are you open to receiving them? It's tempting to shut down, to protect ourselves from the pain of loss. But in doing so, we also shut ourselves off from the joy of presence. So maybe the real practice isn't to keep everyone forever, but to love them fully while they're here, to bless them as they go, and to stay open to what or who comes next. Because every relationship, no matter how long it lasts, adds something to your story, and every goodbye creates space for a new beginning. So let go with grace, cherish what was, and welcome what's yet to come. That, my friend, is how we keep our hearts both tender and wise.
Lesson 4. Your appearance will change, but true beauty never fades. Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked into the mirror and paused? Not in vanity, but in quiet reflection? Noticing the soft lines now tracing your skin, the gray streaks brushing your hair, the gentle shift in your posture? It can be startling at first. The person staring back isn't quite the one you remember from years ago. And in a world obsessed with youth, flawless skin, tight bodies, perfect features, it's easy to feel like beauty is slipping away. But what if I told you, beauty never leaves? It simply evolves. In Buddhist philosophy, nothing remains unchanged. Everything is in motion, our bodies, our minds, our lives. Impermanence isn't a punishment, it's nature's rhythm. And within that rhythm, there's a quiet transformation, a shift from external beauty to something deeper, a radiance that doesn't shout but hums with presence, wisdom, and grace. There's an old Zen story that goes like this. An elderly woman, feeling the weight of time, once visited a wise master. Her voice trembled as she said, "Master, I no longer recognize myself in the mirror. My skin is lined, my hair is silver. I feel invisible." The master smiled gently and led her to a garden. First, he showed her a cherry blossom tree in full bloom, its petals soft and radiant. "This," he said, "is beauty, yes?" She nodded. Then he took her to an old pine tree, its bark rough, its branches twisted by decades of wind and sun. "And this?" he asked. She hesitated, then said, "It's different, but there's something noble in it, something strong." The master nodded. "You see the cherry blossom with young eyes, but you see the pine tree with wisdom." The lesson was simple. Beauty doesn't fade, it deepens. What once sparkled now glows. What once was admired becomes revered. Think about it. The elders you admire most, do you love them for their wrinkle-free faces? Or for the warmth in their voices, the stories in their eyes, the patience in their presence? There's a certain elegance that only comes with age, the kind that isn't filtered or photoshopped. It's earned through laughter, heartbreak, healing, and growth. Your wrinkles, they are not flaws. They are the lines of stories lived. Your silver hair, it's not something to cover, it's a crown of experience. So instead of mourning what's changed, celebrate what has emerged. Beauty, in its deepest form, is not about youth. It's about authenticity. It's about showing up fully, as you are, unguarded, wise, kind. It's about listening deeply, loving fiercely, and living with intention. And if you ever doubt that, just think of the moments when someone's presence moved you, not because of how they looked, but because of how they made you feel. That is beauty. So the next time you catch your reflection and feel the pull of comparison or regret, pause, breathe, look closer. See not what's missing, but what's been gained. The strength to endure, the courage to change, the grace to love yourself now more than ever. You are not less beautiful than before. You are simply beautiful in a different, more sacred way. And that kind of beauty, it never fades.
Lesson 5. You will witness great loss, but love never dies. Let me ask you something. Have you ever sat in silence and felt the weight of someone's absence? A parent, a friend, a partner? Their voice no longer fills the room. Their chair stays empty at dinner. Their number remains in your phone, but you hesitate to delete it because doing so feels too final. As we grow older, loss becomes a more familiar visitor. We lose people, slowly, steadily, one by one. And grief? Grief doesn't knock politely. It arrives like a storm, sudden, unpredictable, and unapologetically strong. But what if I told you that while people leave, love doesn't? You see, in Buddhism, suffering is understood as a shared human experience. No one is spared. And yet, no one is truly alone in it either. There's a powerful Buddhist parable about a woman named Kisa Gotami. Her young son died suddenly, and in her heartbreak, she wandered from house to house, pleading for a cure to bring him back. Eventually, she came to the Buddha. He told her, "Bring me a mustard seed from any home that has never known death." With hope in her heart, she knocked on every door. But every family had a story: a lost parent, a missing child, a brother taken too soon. By the end of her journey, she returned to the Buddha not with a cure, but with understanding. Death is not a punishment. It is a part of life's fabric. And grief? Grief is simply the echo of love. The more deeply you've loved, the more deeply you will grieve. But that love doesn't vanish. It becomes something else. It becomes memory. It becomes wisdom. It becomes action. Have you ever noticed how a certain scent or song can bring someone back just for a second? That's not imagination. That's presence. Their presence still living through you. Maybe your father's advice still guides your decisions. Maybe your grandmother's warmth lives in the way you care for others. Maybe a lost friend's laughter still bubbles up when you tell their favorite joke. That is how love continues. You don't move on from loss. You move forward with it. You carry the people you've loved in your actions, in your choices, in your quiet moments of gratitude. The love we give is never wasted. It plants seeds in others. It flows into the world in ways we may never see. So, if you've lost someone, don't let their story end with sadness. Honor them with how you live, with kindness, with courage, with grace. Light a candle in your heart that says, "You mattered, and I carry you still." Aging brings loss, yes, but it also brings perspective. And perhaps the most sacred realization of all, that love, true love, doesn't die. It transforms. It flows through us and into others, and in doing so, it never truly leaves. So, when you feel that ache, that sudden, quiet wave of longing, don't run from it. Let it remind you of how deeply you loved, and how deeply you were loved in return. Because in the end, that's what remains. Love. Always.
Lesson 6. The more you accept, the more free you become. Let me ask you something. How much of your suffering comes not from what happened, but from your resistance to it? Not from the wrinkle itself, but from wishing it wasn't there. Not from the silence in a once busy house, but from clinging to the way things used to be. Buddhism teaches that pain is part of life. But suffering? Suffering comes when we fight reality, when we resist what is. As the Buddha said, you only lose what you cling to. Nowhere is this more apparent than in the process of aging. Growing older isn't easy. The body slows down. The mirror reflects someone you barely recognize. Your schedule empties while your memories grow heavier. And yet, what if none of that is the enemy? What if the real struggle lies in our refusal to accept it? You see, aging itself is not suffering. What hurts is the resistance to aging. It's the desire to stay young forever, to run when your knees now need rest, to hold on when life is gently asking you to let go. But here's the surprising truth. The moment you stop resisting, peace begins to rise. Imagine standing in a river. If you fight the current, it exhausts you. But if you flow with it, something miraculous happens. You move with life, not against it. Acceptance is not giving up. It's waking up. It's the choice to stop demanding that life be different and to start embracing it exactly as it is. When you accept your age, you make room for grace. When you accept your body's limitations, you begin to care for it with tenderness rather than frustration. And when you accept that life is changing, you open yourself to new kinds of beauty. There's a deeper richness in this stage of life, not because it's free of challenges, but because it invites us inward. You no longer have to prove yourself. You don't need to compete, to hustle, or to be everything to everyone. Instead, you're invited to slow down, to savor, to reflect, to be present. That is a sacred gift. And yet, so many of us miss it, because we're still clinging to what was. What if aging is not the end, but the beginning of something more meaningful? Not a fading, but a deepening. Not a loss, but a homecoming. A coming home to yourself. So ask yourself, what are you still resisting? What would it feel like to breathe and simply let it be? You don't have to love every change, but you can learn to live with them. And in that, you free yourself. Because true freedom doesn't come from fixing everything. It comes from accepting what you can't fix and choosing peace anyway. You are not your youth. You are not your speed. You are not the number of years behind you. You are presence. You are awareness. You are enough, exactly as you are. Let go of the fight, and feel how light life can become when you stop swimming upstream. This chapter is not a decline. It is an invitation to be softer, to be truer, to be free.
Lesson 7. Stillness is where you return to yourself. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly sat in stillness? I'm not talking about the absence of noise, but the presence of you, the real you. No deadlines, no notifications, no trying to fix, to chase, to prove. Just being. In a world that celebrates busyness, stillness can feel uncomfortable, like we're not doing enough, like something must be wrong if we're not constantly achieving. But here's the truth that most people overlook. Stillness isn't empty. It's full of presence, full of awareness, full of truth. In Buddhism, stillness isn't about silence. It's about returning, coming home to the one place you often forget to visit, yourself. And when you do, you realize something deeply freeing. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to earn your worth. Because you, right here, as you are already enough. Can you feel the relief in that? The moment we stop chasing some version of perfection, we begin to notice the beauty of what already is. The breath, the quiet heartbeat, the soft light through the window. Stillness is not passive, it's powerful. It's in the pause before a wise decision, in the deep breath before you speak, in the gentle knowing that you are safe, even if nothing around you is certain. There's a story of a monk who carried a lantern at night, not because he feared the dark, but because it reminded him of his own inner light. We all need that light. Because the world will try to distract you. It will pull at your attention, whisper doubts, stir fears. But when you carry stillness like a lantern, you no longer fear the noise. You simply walk through it, guided from within. So if life feels loud right now, if you feel overwhelmed, off balance, or lost, don't run farther outward. Come inward. Sit, breathe, listen. And remember, The answers you seek don't live out there. They rise slowly, like morning light, from the stillness within you. You don't need to become anything more. You don't need to fix who you are. You are already the sky, calm, wide, open. Let the storm pass. So today, I invite you, not to do more, but to be more present. Let stillness be your home, your anchor, your quiet revolution. Carry it with you like a lantern, a soft glow that reminds you who you are, no matter how loud the world becomes. Because in the end, stillness isn't the escape from life. It's the way back to it.
Aging is not an end, but life's deepest gift. Let's pause for a moment. Take a breath. Feel it enter and leave. Inhale peace. Exhale resistance. Because what we've explored together isn't really about aging. It's about living, more truthfully, more gently, more awake. You see, growing old is not a punishment. It's not something to fear, hide, or fix. It's a gift, quiet, profound, and deeply human. Aging is the moment life stops asking you to prove yourself and starts inviting you to simply be yourself. When we're young, life is a race. There are milestones to hit, people to impress, roles to play. But as the years pass, something beautiful happens. The need to be impressive fades, and what remains is presence. Real, grounded, sacred presence. Buddhism reminds us that everything is impermanent. Yes, the body changes. Yes, people come and go. But also, yes, there's something timeless beneath it all. Your awareness, your compassion, your wisdom. They don't wrinkle. They don't gray. They deepen. This stage of life isn't about chasing what's gone. It's about embracing what's here. Think about it. You've lived. You've loved. You've fallen, gotten back up, and kept going. You've held the hands of others, shared laughter in fleeting moments, felt heartbreak, and still chosen to stay open. That's not decline. That's richness. That's depth. That's a kind of success no title, trophy, or youthful face can match. So let's rewrite the story of aging. Let's stop framing it as a loss and see it as what it truly is, an accumulation of insight, of empathy, of time well spent. And here's the most powerful part. At this stage, you don't need to stand out. You just need to show up. Not as a performer, but as a presence. Not to impress, but to inspire, quietly, honestly, simply. The most meaningful gift you can give the world now is not your ambition, but your presence, your calm, your listening, your stories, your love. Think of the elders who moved you, not because they were loud or flashy, but because they saw you, really saw you, because they made you feel safe, known, and loved just by being who they were. You have that power now. So instead of mourning what's past, celebrate what has been gained. You are not fading. You are ripening. You are not disappearing. You are arriving into a fuller version of yourself. Let aging be your teacher. Let it soften what was once hard. Let it quiet what was once noisy. Let it return you to you. And remember, your life doesn't need to be large to be meaningful. It just needs to be lived with presence. You don't have to rush. You don't have to compete. You don't have to be extraordinary. You just have to be here, now, fully. Because that kind of presence is the most extraordinary thing of all. So take this chapter of your life and write it slowly. Write it with kindness. Write it with love. Because aging is not the end of your story. It's the part where the story finally starts to speak from the soul.